All right, the time is now 7 p.m. I'd like to call this Town of Plainfield Board of Selectmen meeting to order. And it is called to order and ask for Pledge of Allegiance. If you wouldn't mind, if I can get this. There we go. Ask you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. At this time, we take roll call. Kevin Cunningham.
Art Gagnon.
Kathy Tendridge.
Becky Hewitt.
And item C, to approve the September 14th meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the 9/14/2020 meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item D for public comment.
Kevin.
Okay. Yes, Don Bella.
Yep. I was wondering, because I called the town clerk's office this morning on that. We don't have the ordinances online yet or anything like that.
We haven't had them at all yet online. So we are working on that. And one of the items you'll see in a minute here is talking about the ordinances.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Okay.
All right, very good. Any other comment, public?
Hey, Kevin, I had a question about the school roof.
Okay.
The other night, the superintendent said that the roof was safe. Who had deemed that to be safe? Did the building inspector look at it? The town's building inspector?
Those are his words. So I'd have to, I guess you'd have to ask him directly.
Yeah, but they don't have a meeting till mid-October now. That's what I was trying to ask the other night.
Okay. Yeah, you can email him because I'm not going to speak for him. So
A little disappointing that this question about a roof, and they've been using it for 3 years and haven't looked into it, the safety of it.
any other public comment? All right, hearing none, going into old business. And Don, to your question, we have an old business for discussing the town charter, section 5. It's in the town charter itself, talking about review of town ordinances. So the intention here is to have this board look at the ordinances, look at what is the current town ordinances, see if there's any modifications that we'd like to request and vote on to bring to a town meeting. And the next thing would, at that point, also look to see if there's any new ones we'd like to add in, or something we want to grandfather and say they're gone. So the idea eventually is once that's voted on, we do anticipate putting all of those ordinances up online. And that way the entire town can have access to it without having to request anything from the town clerk.
Okay.
Okay. I know I'm still looking through mine. There's a lot in there. So I think I'd entertain a motion to continue this as a discussion item as old business for the next meeting.
So moved.
And a second? I'll second that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. All right, item number 2 of the old business is discuss and act on the town COVID-19 policy. The issue here is the ever-changing state of Connecticut. I think that we were talking about this last time, and of course, that day there was some more changes to the state of Connecticut in the way they wanted to handle rolling out of phase 3, which also talked about how they would then roll back. And if you were visiting one of the hotspot spaces within the country, you could do a test 3 days prior to coming back. And as long as that test was okay, you were then fine to continue back to work. So at this point, we were trying to handle things case by case individually. So far, it was okay, but I'm not sure what we could do with this. I really don't. I don't know where we could go with this. And I'm trying to get advice from the attorney on where we even go with a COVID-19 policy. We already have some things from other towns, but even those are outdated at this point because of the changes.
Kevin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
because your voice is real staticky, so I can catch part of what you're saying, but not all of it.
Okay. Let's see. I'll just go a little bit closer here. So, Kathy, the issue is that the town, Plainfield, was trying to come up with a COVID-19 employee policy so that when they were coming back from a spot that they deemed by the state of Connecticut. Is there someone, could you, you know what, the best thing to do on this, is, Ron, could you put yourself on mute? Thank you. All right, is that any better, Kathy? Oops. Kathy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Kevin, but there's still a lot of static in your voice.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on in the background. I would just ask everybody else to go into a mute format right now.
Everyone's muted but me. Do you want me muted?
Let's just try it out.
Okay.
All right. Kathy, and you're on mute too?
I will go on mute also, Kevin.
All right. All right, let's test that out. I think it's pretty clear right now. If you can hear me clearly, you just want to go to the down at the bottom and there's a reactions button. If you click the reactions button, give me a thumbs up saying you can hear me clearly. Yeah, okay, if not, there we go. So most everybody can hear everything okay now. So I guess we'll do the one at a time discussion. If you have an item as a board member, if you want to just discuss something after I'm done speaking, what I would do is just ask you then to you speak, and then I'll put myself on mute. So the idea was on item number 2 of the old business to discuss and act on the town of Plainfield COVID-19 employee policy. With the state making changes on a regular basis, it's difficult to keep track of where they're going with this. At this point, we were trying to handle things on a case-by-case basis. We just had another issue where someone came in contact, they notified us, but they got a test and they were deemed negative. So that's how we've been handling it so far. I really don't think we need to go further with a COVID employee policy because it changes on a regular basis with the state of Connecticut. New executive orders change, and we can't do anything about that at this point. I don't know what your thought is on this, but I'm going to mute myself and ask either Art or Kathy. Sorry, just Art and Kathy to weigh in.
So my only question to you would be, Kevin, is that something that you had all the employees sign and that you'll keep it in their employee file? I understand it changes every day, but I still think it's important that it's in their file and that they have that.
Yeah, for a COVID-19 policy, it would be just like any other employee policy. It's something I would have them read and then sign off on if we went forward with this. But my feeling on this, though, is the fact that with changing on a daily basis or every 2 or 3 days that we come up with something new, that we're not going to keep up with this. There's no way to keep up and having to reprint it, having to re-sign it, keep them in their files. I think if we're handling it on a case-by-case, we're strongly suggesting that people understand when they're going to a spot, which is one of those states, which is considered one of the hot spots, one of the 33 in the country, that they understand that they need to come and take that test 72 hours prior of return and produce that test to us. And we're explaining that to them before they go. So that's really how we're handling it. Same thing is if they're coming in contact, knowingly coming in contact with someone who's positive, to take the test before they return back to work. And of course, the other thing that plays along with that is, do they have the symptoms? So there's sort of a guideline that we follow to ask questions of employees before they do come back. So we're trying to work with that. That's why I say I'm not sure if we should even consider going forward with putting together a COVID-19 employee policy because it just doesn't make sense at this time. So I was looking for your input, Art and Kathy, to see if we should go forward or not.
I honestly think, Kevin, that you should, because we don't know how long it's going to last. And I know that it changes on a daily basis, but I think to have the basic there, it covers you and it covers the town. But that's just my thought, Kevin. It just protects you.
All right, that's fair. Art?
Yeah, my question is, why did this come up in the first place? Did the state mandate this?
All right, the state did not mandate it. Other towns around us were doing it. We talked to CCM, asked them what's going on, how do other towns handle it? And they gave us suggested ideas, as well as I think they've been reaching out to all of the supportive services throughout every town and asking what they're doing. So this has come back through CCM and circled back to say, you know, it caught my attention thinking, what do? We don't want people just going off in, you know, a 2-week vacation, coming back saying that originally it was just they'd come back and they'd be concerned about coming back at all and taking tests. So we want to have something in place they would know what to do. Do you feel symptoms? Did you take a test prior to return? So that's part of the reason why it was there. Also, if they were out in the public right now and they're coming in contact with somebody, how do we handle that? So, yeah, we could make a policy. It could be very generic, and then we can make the changes as we go with the state of Connecticut. So if your wish is to continue on with it, I can do that. I will make it as generic as possible so that we don't have to worry about too many changes coming up. And people know that if they read it and understand what is at stake, how they are to handle things, maybe at least they have that in front of them to go by.
I think that's a good idea, Kevin. It will protect the town. And at least they have the basic guidelines.
I was going to say that generic points of points that were long lasting, that you've noticed long lasting, like travel restrictions, face masks, you know, things like that, coming in sick. Yeah, that way it's clear. Everybody knows these are things that are going to be ongoing probably for at least another 6 months, probably, I would think. So, yeah.
All right, since we have this on our old business, I would entertain a motion at this point and to continue to the next meeting. In the meantime, what I will do for you is I'll put up something generic, and at our next meeting, I'll share that.
I'll make a motion, Kevin, to put it on the next meeting to be voted on.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Item number F for new business. In your packet, you'll see that there is a consideration and act on tax refunds as requested by the tax collector totaling $664.89 for Roger E. George for $38.10, Bethany J. Gorman and Emily McKinley, $47.42. For Cindy Legary, $14.33, Hyundai Leasing Titling Trust, $238.73. Jacqueline E. Major, $19.52, Honda Lease Trust, $306.79.
I'll make a motion to act on the tax refunds as requested by the tax collector in the total amount of $664.89.
Second that.
Motion's made by Kathy, second by Art. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All right. Next one up is a discussion for a community connectivity grant for a proposed sidewalk project in Wauregan. We did talk about this somewhat briefly before at the tri-meeting between Board of Finance, Board of Education, Board of Selectmen, and that connectivity grant, if I can get it up on the screen here. There we go. Let me see if I can now share it. So I have Mary Ann in the room with me right now. If you have questions, we can both answer as best we can. What you see on the screen in front of you is the Community Connectivity Grant Program. If I can scroll down a little, it talks about the reason why we're actually talking about this tonight. We want to be able to work on getting something for the Village of Wauregan. If you can consider the Village of Wauregan has at this point zero sidewalks. So this is really a large project for putting together, and it's a 3-year span over this, putting together something for sidewalks for safety. This is the grant. I think you have a copy of it in your packet, but it's something that we could put in for, and see if I can get to the next one here. So that is the project. Let's take a look at the actual design, and then we can talk about this in depth as we go through the whole thing. So this is phase 1 of the project, which would start in right about, if I can get, I can't get that, can I? Anyways, it's right over in front of where the gas station area is, I believe. And right at that point, it would continue around the corner to a crosswalk. And then would continue up closest to the side of the school. And if I can get page 2, there we go. It continues up around the corner. You'll see there's a Charlotte and there's a Marie, and eventually you'll see Lori Drive. But there's crosswalks right there. Little sidewalk indents, crosswalks over. And page 3. There's Lori Drive, and it continues on up along Shepherd Hill. And then finishes off, as you see, there's phase 1 listed and phase 3. So phase 1 would end up right there on that part of Shepherd Hill Road in front of the school. So that would be the first phase of it. There are 2 other phases, and let me talk about each of these. And if I'm going too quick, please let me know, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like. This is phase 2. So phase 2 starts where we left off at the beginning, over in front of the gas station. Page.
It's on Shepherd Hill Road. Phase 2 starts.
Coming down around 205.
And then it goes down.
Yep. So then it's going down where 205 area is. Before I go off of this one, you'll see that there's also a crosswalk going across the street, and there's a sidewalk area on the Moosa Pond Route 12 corner. As we continue off of phase 2, page 3, it will show you that it's going down along the side of the roadway that it ends up down off of, South Chestnut. And there's a little corner right around the South Chestnut area. So you'll see there's crosswalks at both of those roadway areas as well. That would be the phase 2. And if I can get to phase 3, there we go. There's where it left off at phase 1. Now we'll continue on phase 3, and it's going to aim down towards East Shepherd Hill Road. There's the second page of that. So it's again on the same side as the school, going down East Shepherd Hill. And then all the way down to the bottom of Shepherd Hill with a little around the corner sidewalk area that connects over to the other side of the road with the crosswalk. So those are the plans, and again, it's a 3-year project. Let's talk about, make sure I get the right page, 917, yep. So what you've got in front of you should show you projected costs and how the money is being proportioned out. This grant is a 3-year grant, each year being availability of $600,000. So if you take a look at the construction costs for the first year, you've got $604,800, which means if the grant only covers $600,000, the town would be responsible for $4,800. The town would also be responsible for the engineering costs. We anticipate that to be $42,000. So the anticipated cost to the town of Plainfield in phase 1, which the bid date, if you notice the very last, it says December 2021. That would be $46,800 to the town. Phase 2, which we talked about, which goes from South Chestnut up around the corner over 205, and also has a crosswalk and sidewalk area on the corner of Route 12 Moosa Pond Road. His anticipated construction cost, $529,000. Same engineering costs are anticipated. So the town would be responsible for $42,000. The total part of that project, though, is $571,000. Phase 3 is the more costly of those project parts. Phase 3 is where it where it left off, right in front of the school, going to East Shepherd, going down to the bottom and around. The construction cost anticipated is $756,000. Of that, the grant covers $600,000. The town's portion of the construction cost will be $156,000 plus the engineering cost of $42,000. So the anticipated cost would be total $198,000, and the grant total of that 3rd-year project would again is $798,000. So you see that at the bottom of that, it says December 2021, 22, and 23. Those are the cost estimates only for those 3 years. So we have some questions, I'm sure. And I think we can talk about some of them now. This is probably a good time to talk about those.
So Kevin, what is the chance that we get awarded the grant the first year and possibly not the second or third? And I know,
Go ahead, sorry.
I know it's based on, they consider how far you've gone on your phase 1 completion, but I mean, is there a chance that we may only get through phase 1 and not get the grant for phase 2 and 3?
There's always a chance. There's always a chance that you don't have access to year 2 or 3.
Right.
But once we start a project of that magnitude and putting all the pieces together in front of that committee, we have a better chance to show them what the 3 phases are and what the cost impact and the safety impact is for the region. So at this point, with those grants, it's a state grant, by the way, so we do have some people in the state of Connecticut who are trying to help and champion this, because I've been talking to the people from DOT as well, helping and supporting us, and they're very much on board with this. So they're going to be happy to see the fact that we have 3 phases and a full plan.
Okay. No, I'm all for it, Kevin. I think it's important, the safety of the kids walking to school. I would love to see all 3 phases get approved. So, but even if they don't, I mean, it's still a benefit if even only phase 1 gets approved. So.
I also talked to some people on the federal level to say, look, I know there's a lot of pieces in play for those who can understand. There's money that actually comes from the federal government to help feed these other systems. So I'm making sure that everybody understands on all levels what we're looking to do and where we could help and get some help and support. So if it's letters, if it's verbal support, I've already spoken to Joe Courtney about that to say you understand the importance of what we did. Putting the busing together, transportation is a key. Safety is another huge element to that. So I think those are big things to tie together. So I know the state level, they're definitely looking to see all 3 phases move forward.
Thank you.
Okay. So what we're trying to do has a lot of impact to the town for not just the children because it's by the school, but also for the residents. So whether it's during school hours or after, I think that accessibility to what we have in our town is important. And for those who've seen what's going on, you see that there's the larger dog kennel, which is going in there right now. That's a great opportunity for us to make things happen. But being safe is also part of that. Being able to help people to walk across the street safely, get to and from that facility, I think is a good thing. It's also the numbers. We talked about this before. How many children use that site? Well, right now, I wouldn't want my kid to walk over there because it's on a sidewalk and there's no safety area. So walking up Route 205 hill, I wouldn't do that. There's a lot of problems over there. And I think that that's an important factor, is that people may or may not use it because of those issues for safety. We need to be safe for all of our residents, all of the villages as a town. I really do think that's an important thing. So, all right. I'd like to do it.
One more question, Kevin. I know that the application has to be in by October 16th. When will the grant be awarded? When do they make their decision?
That's another good question. In the spring. So once we get into the spring area, we'll know then what we're going to be able to.
I'm sorry, Kevin, I lost you again.
Okay, time. We anticipate that the springtime, the numbers will come back from the state as to receive the grant money.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have 2 questions.
Yep.
Do you know why East Shepherd Hill is 150,000 more than Shepherd Hill?
Good question. Marianne, you have some insight on that.
A little bit. I do believe that part of the issue is because of the logistics of East Shepherd Hill Road and the slopes and the pitches and the configuration of the road itself. And also there are driveways going down the hill that we need to do some modification to the aprons to preclude any runoff from going from the sidewalk down into the driveways.
Yes, Art, it's a good question because what I thought first was, I know that in the past, there have been people who are complaining about the water runoff and how it goes into their driveway on East Shepherd Hill Road. And that's an engineering issue where we have to figure out how do we put a sidewalk up and be able to make it so that the water doesn't run down into their driveway. So there's an engineering component to that that I think is a little more more with construction and more with engineering, how they can figure out how it's going to work. So there may be some more additional costs added there because of that.
You just reminded me of the big puddle that always collects at the house on the corner at the bottom of the hill.
At the very bottom, yeah.
Right, that might be a drainage issue. And the only other question, Kathy brought up, the kids walking to school. Are they required to walk to school from those neighborhoods?
Not required, but you have to understand, I did reach out to the superintendent on this issue.
Mhm.
There is an issue concerning availability for busing and also for safety. The component really is that I know we all grew up in the day of walking to school pretty much as close as possible. There is a certain radius which you can go, how far away you can go to do pickups.
Mhm.
Right now, because of safety, nobody wants to do that. So a lot of people either would drive their kids to school or work out something with the buses to pick them up. So this is more of an option at this point. Okay, so I think that there's a lot more detail to this, and what I'm trying to do is, we did discuss the proposed sidewalk. There's still an option for the town people to weigh in on this. I think what we'd like to do is, if you see on item number 3, is we discuss and act on the town charter saying that we have to 25D. For a community connectivity grant, it requires the town to follow 25D. And 25D says if you're getting a grant for more than $10,000, whether it be federal or state, you're required to have a town meeting, which is actually works out very well because now we can talk about it publicly, explain to the public what the need is and what we'd like to see, and ask for their wishes. So as soon as the public hearing portion of it would be over, public informational meeting, immediately following, we'd have a town meeting to vote on that proposal for the community connectivity grant and the project itself. So that's what I'd like to do, is allow the public to be, and I think by that time, it could be wrong, but I'm looking at my calendar here and it's like, with the changes that have been going forward with the state of Connecticut, I put a request out to give me some numbers for who can have what. We may still have to have Zoom. However, with the state of Connecticut changing their, if you can have a meeting, if you can have a public meeting outside to a certain number, and you can have a private gathering outside to a certain number, that's great. You know those numbers. But on the inside, they talked about if it's a private meeting inside, you can have a certain number of people. Well, we're a public entity, and we want to be able to have public in here. So I asked the question of the state of Connecticut to give me a definite answer as to if we were able to have a certain number in this facility all at one time. And then, of course, following all the COVID-19 guidelines and try to be safe. There's still some things I have to talk to with the state about having that. So if we were to say, hypothetical, if we were to say October 14th to have a public informational meeting, followed immediately with a town meeting for vote, we could do that, whether it be on Zoom or whether it be in the town hall is what I have to work on at this point. But at least if we put that in motion to say, pending the outcome of what we get from information from the state of Connecticut, I'd like to be able to take a motion on having a public information meeting on Wednesday, October 14th, and I'll make sure of that date.
Kevin, quick question for you.
Sure.
Wouldn't you want to have the meeting before that? Because the application deadline for the grant is October 16th.
Right, well, actually, Marianne is actually putting that together now. So if we get the vote that day, that night, it'll be put in the next day. So it'll be actually on October 15th, put in.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing for Wednesday, October 14th at 7 o'clock, I would assume.
Can you modify that? So it will be a public informational meeting at 6:45 on October,
6:45?
yep, on October 14th,
Mhm.
immediately following with a town meeting to vote on proposed community connectivity grant.
You want me to read that?
Whatever you'd like to do.
Okay. I make a motion that we'll set a public informational meeting with a town meeting to vote the following for a community connectivity grant for Wednesday, October 14th at 6:45 p.m. with the location to be determined still. Via Zoom or in person.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other discussion at this time? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And thank you very much. I do have a few things for other. I just want to make sure we're all set with this. It's a rare time that, there's a lot of things that are happening all at the same time. I wanted to let you know that this is the third senior expo. We're trying to be very careful on how we do it. It's the same thing, following all the COVID rules. For the third senior expo, we're trying to have the town hall October 16th from 9 a.m. to 12. We're going to have spacing out different numbers of people in the auditorium, the downstairs meeting room, the front foyer area, and also some workshop in the tax assessor's office and another workshop in the town clerk's office to try to give information to the public. And so we anticipate that we can have different entities here to help us out to give some information on what's going on. I think they're also going to be doing a flu shot through CVS in the front foyer area. So we'll see how that goes. October, and then I get these once in a while, October 11th from 8 to 5, there's a ride for food. If you go onto the town Facebook page and website, there's information there for you. October 14th in the daytime from 9 to 11, and also November 11th from 9 to 11, there's a pop-up food drive-through at the UCFS building on 120 Plainfield Road. There's more information up online with that. The sad news would be the taxes are due no later than October 1st if you're trying to avoid a late fee. And there's one other thing that just came through tonight where I've been working with the rail systems and getting certain things done. And I wanted people to know, I get calls all the time. What are you going to do with the Moose Pond Road Railway? Because the rails are way up and it's right now very hazardous to go through it. So they were working and waiting for their contractor to come through with a date for them. And they're going to do a refix of that area. What they're going to do is we're going to shut down from about 6 a.m. until about 5 p.m. We'll put barriers at the road. We'll contact everybody by way of an article in the newspaper, by the Turnpike Buyer, to Nixle, Facebook, YouTube, Facebook, in our town website. We'll also put it out there as best we can on the radio. We'll try to get as much information out there. It's going to be closed down for that day. We'll have barriers up. We'll have staff there on both sides of the rail. I'm going to contact all the businesses in the area directly to see, make sure that they understand what's going on. So we anticipate being down for one day. Normally, to take up the rails like that, to redo it, level it down, and repave it, for them, it usually takes 3 days, but they said they can do it if they do it all connectedly in one shot. It'll only be that time frame from the early morning until 5 o'clock at night. So I'll put some information out there. I'm going to be meeting with the EM services, police, fire, highway, to get a plan together so we can put it out there to the public and let them know that we're trying to do this as safe as possible, but to inform them. So that just came in tonight, October 20th. That's all I have for public service announcement for tonight. This time we can, that was my other section, so unless there's anything else from the selectmen, entertain a motion to adjourn.
That's so moved.
I'll second that.
All right, motion and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you very much. And the time now is 7:35, so thank you and have a good night.